Today I'm going to show you how to make peppermint bark two different ways. We're going to do it the real way, and then we're going to do it the cheater's way. So whether you're like chocolatier status or a total newbie beginner, we've got the peppermint bark recipe for you. Regardless of which peppermint bark you're going to make today, you're going to want to start by lining a 9 by 13 inch dish with non-stick aluminum foil. So for the real peppermint bark, you're going to need 3 4-ounce bars of semi-sweet or bittersweet chocolate. Set aside 3 ounces of the chocolate, and you're going to chop up the remaining 9 ounces and add it to a small heat-proof bowl. Now you're going to chop up the reserved 3 ounces and set that in a separate bowl. Take your 9 ounces of dark chocolate and transfer it to the microwave, microwaving at 30-second intervals, stirring in between each stint in the microwave. You're going to do this until you've reached about the 1.5 minute mark and your chocolate is looking smooth and completely melted. Now we're going to start adding in that reserved bit of chocolate. Just add about a tablespoon or 2 at a time, stirring until it's completely melted. The whole purpose in doing this is so that we can properly temper the chocolate. You want to bring that chocolate down slowly to room temperature so that it doesn't bloom. If you've ever seen chocolate that has kind of like these grayish, whitish little splotches that have hit the top of it, that is called a bloom. And while you can eat chocolate that's bloomed, you maybe don't want to gift it or have it on display around Christmas time. So one of the ways that we keep chocolate from blooming is to temper it. If you get to room temperature before you've used all of your chocolate, that's okay. Just set aside the remaining chopped chocolate and you can use it for another day. Once you've got your chocolate completely melted and tempered, you're gonna add in some peppermint oil. Now be careful with peppermint oil. It is a very strong ingredient. A 1/4 teaspoon is more than enough to add lots of great minty flavor to your chocolate. I found that using peppermint oil over peppermint extract was a little bit safer in not causing the chocolate to seize up. Trust me, when it comes to working with real chocolate, you want to take all the precautions you can get to make sure that that chocolate stays melty and smooth. And now we bring in some peppermint candies. You're gonna add about 1 cup of hard peppermint candies or candy canes to a freezer-safe gallon-size zip-top bag. The reason you want to use a freezer-safe bag is because these bags are typically thicker lined, and that way when you're smashing it to smithereens, you don't have to worry about your bag busting open. So add those peppermints, press out all the air, seal the bag, and grab yourself either a kitchen mallet or a rolling pin and smash away. If y'all are Christmas fanatics like I am, you are definitely going to want to check out our Christmas recipes playlist at the end of this video. I'm gonna link to my royally iced painted sugar cookies, our perfect buttercream frosted Christmas trees and wreaths, and of course we will include Christmas favorites like haystack cookies, thumbprint cookies, and more. Okay, so now we're back to the chocolate. You're gonna add in about 1 to 2 tablespoons of crushed peppermint candy, stir that around, pour your dark chocolate into the prepared pan, and use your spatula to spread it out. Now, the more you spread the chocolate, the thinner it's gonna be. So if you want a thicker peppermint bark, don't take it all the way to the edges. Even though we're gonna be melting down the dark chocolate first, I always chop the white chocolate first. Here's why. If you happen to get a little bit of white chocolate mixed in with your dark chocolate, it's not gonna make a big difference. Nobody's gonna see that. But if we accidentally get some of the dark chocolate mixed in with the white chocolate, it's gonna muddy down the color and it's not gonna look as festive or pretty. Now you could totally use 2 separate cutting boards, but in order to do less dishes, that's the order of things for me. And you certainly don't want to use the same cutting board and then wash it and then put chocolate on top of a washed cutting board that could retain moisture. If your cutting board, your utensil, or your bowls have even 1 single drop of water, your chocolate is now at risk of seizing up. Right around the 5 to 7 minute mark, you want to go ahead and get started on your white chocolate. So we're gonna chop it up and we're gonna divide it just the same as we did the dark chocolate. And we're gonna microwave it at 30-second intervals, stirring in between each interval. We're also gonna temper the white chocolate in the exact same way that we tempered the dark chocolate, adding just a tablespoon or so at a time, stirring until completely smooth, checking to see if it's reached room temperature after each addition. You may find that the white chocolate requires a little bit more of those reserves than the dark chocolate did. As soon as your white chocolate is totally melted and perfectly tempered, you're gonna add in a 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint oil. And now we're gonna check back on the dark chocolate layer. If your dark chocolate layer is completely set up at this point, is looking dull and not shiny, you're gonna wanna bring in your blow dryer. If we were to add the white chocolate on top of the dark chocolate as it's completely set, looking dull and not shiny, the white chocolate is going to separate from the dark chocolate when it comes time to break it apart. So in order for the two chocolates to stick together, you need for that dark chocolate to be just a teensy bit wet. Put your blow dryer on the low heat setting and run it over the chocolate just until it starts to look shiny and glossy again. You don't want to melt it all the way down, just want a little bit of sheen to it. Pour that white chocolate right over and use an offset spatula to spread it over the dark chocolate layer. Now you're gonna come in with a handful or two of crushed peppermint, sprinkle that right over the top. And if you want to be a little OCD like me, you can grab your peppermints and place them strategically across that bark so that the red and white stripes are pointed upward. This just makes for a more festive, fun bark. Now you're just gonna set your chocolate aside until it's completely set, and then we can cut it up. Thanks to that non-stick aluminum foil, you can lift your peppermint bark easily right out of the pan, transfer it to a work surface, turn it over, and peel that foil right off. Now you're gonna turn it back over and you're gonna cut your peppermint bark into great big shards. After you've got your shapes mostly set, you can come in and break it into smaller pieces using your hands, and that's all there is to it. Okay, so now you know how to make real deal peppermint bark. And if I haven't scared you off, stick around and let me show you how to make this gorgeous swirly peppermint bark made using chocolate wafers and not chopped chocolate. This recipe is 1,000 times easier all the way around, and the only thing you're really gonna be missing is the snap of the chocolate. Flavor is going to be phenomenal as long as you use a good, high quality chocolate wafer. You're gonna melt down 2 10-ounce packages of dark melting wafers according to package directions. As soon as your chocolate is melted and smooth, you'll add in a 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint oil and 2 tablespoons of crushed peppermint candies. Stir and pour that right over your prepared 9 by 13 inch dish. Now you'll find when you're making the wafer version that you're working with more chocolate, and so you can actually spread this one to the edges, no problem. Real chocolate is a little bit more expensive. You don't get as much for your money, so there's the reasoning behind that. All right, now another benefit of this recipe is we don't have to wait for anything to set up. We're gonna move on straight to the white chocolate melting wafers. Melt those down according to package directions, and as soon as it's melting and smooth, you'll add in a 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint oil. Stir and pour that right over your dark chocolate layer. Now you're gonna come in with a knife and you're gonna start making swirls all throughout the chocolate. You wanna get in there and sort of lift the dark chocolate from the bottom and bring it over the white chocolate in little swirly movements. Now you'll sprinkle over your crushed peppermint candies right over the top, and you're gonna set it aside until completely set and hardened.